I'm going to ask you next, your homework for Chapter 8 is going to be 8.2. It will not be due next week, it will be due 2 weeks from now. Main reason being is I'm going to want you to be focused on preparing for the midterm. After having done K nearest neighbors, think you would be comfortable doing naive Bayes, or do you want me to walk through an example with you? All right. So next, open up your universal bank file if you've got it. We're going to work on 8.1, which is on page 162.
You said it was university.
Yes.
Password for self.
All right. So if you have, what's that?
Is this on the test?
There will be some stuff on the test, but it's going to be simplified. Nothing in the test will require you to use Excel Miner.
Are you
For
using
naive-
Excel Miner right now?
I am going to be using Excel Miner. When it comes to things like K nearest neighbors and naive Bayes, it's going to be more of concept type questions. So, basically how does K nearest neighbors work? How does naive Bayes work? How does naive Bayes differ a little bit from exact Bayes? For exact Bayes says you have to find those entries that match exactly, versus naive Bayes is actually looking at all the data and working conditional probabilities of the different type of categories. All right. So the first thing, if you look, it says to partition your data. So if you go into your Excel Miner tab, make sure you are using partitioning data from your data mining, not from the time series. Make sure you're using the appropriate sections. So I want to partition, standard partition, because I'm not worried about oversampling. Make sure that it's starting at the correct row, which is A4. And when it comes to partitioning, go ahead and partition all of your data at once. You can pick and choose what parameters you're going to work with later. And they said go ahead and do a 60-40. So we can do that. Click OK. And you should get a tab that says Data Partition. So now the question becomes, it says 8.1 Part A. It says create a pivot table for the training data with online as a column variable, credit card as a row variable, and loan as a secondary row variable. And it says the values inside the cell should convey the count, how many records are in that cell. Now the first question I'm going to have to ask you is how the heck do you tell your training data from your validation data? The easiest thing is to just go click on the training data link, and it's going to highlight all of your training data. So you'll see it goes from E21. Oops,
What did you click on to get that?
the training data here at the top. should go to 3,020. Here's the reason you want me to know that is because you're going to create your pivot table. It says base it off the training data. You just need to know where to go. So my furthest one down here is O 3020. So now I'm going to insert a pivot table. And the nice thing is by clicking on that and then having it select, it automatically went with what you had selected. So now it's saying my range is data partition B20 to O 3020. So you've got your training data and only your training data. Okay, we're good so far. So once I click OK, how do I create my pivot table? How would I make online a column variable? Go down, find online, just drag it to column. It says make credit card a row variable. So drop it down to row. And loan as a secondary.
What inverses again that we're working
8.1 part A right now. And then it says that the values inside the cells should convey the count. So I could just take any one I want in there, drop it in there. Instead of sum of mortgage, change my value field settings and make it a count. So now if I take a look at this, I should have a total of 1,214 that are not online, 1,786 that are online. Typically your ones are yes, zeros or no's. For credit card, 2,121 that are not credit card, 879 that are. Because when it goes credit card, total 0, this is the summation for that, total 1. And then personal loan within not credit card, you've got those numbers. So you should have something that looks like this. Are we good so far?
I'm just trying to figure out why you picked mortgage, like where it didn't say you picked that, you should pick the rate of mortgage.
You can put any data you want in there when you're doing counts. It doesn't matter. Because it's just going to take a look. You see, I've got a total of 3,000 entries. So all it means is, of the mortgages, 791 of them are where credit card is 0, personal loan is 0, and online is 0. It's just giving out the counts over there.
I would never have finished.
So when it comes to counts, you can drop any variable you want in there. Doesn't matter. Now, just so you know, the main point of what we're going through these steps is to give you an idea of how naive Bayes does its calculations. Obviously, when you get to your homework, it's just going to be letting it do the work for you and interpreting it. So, it says, consider the task of classifying a customer that owns a bank credit card and is actively using the online banking services. Look at the pivot table. What is the probability that the customer will accept the loan offer? So this is the probability of a loan acceptance equals 1, conditional on having a bank credit card 1, and being an active user of online banking services.